Hi, I'm Kate. Welcome to the first video in my series In the Studio with Kate. This series is all about getting back to the studio, to actually creating the art that I want to be creating. And it's going to be a little bit about show and tell, a little bit about process, a little bit about accountability. Each week I'll do a video and post it on Friday. And it will be about what I've done in the studio that week. Some weeks may have lots of things that have been completed. Some things might just first be started, or they might be ideas and I'll just be talking about them. But I'm committed to do a video each week whether I have a lot of content or not. That's the part about the accountability. It will keep me focused on doing my own art and hopefully encourage you to do yours as well. So let's get started. This week I'm going to talk about a class called 12D that I've been taking all year. It's run by Mixie Gregory, and I'll put her information at the end of the video so you can check her out. She does some wonderful work with color. The class is all about color, and we are doing a different color every month. And I got a little bit behind, so this month I'm playing catch up, and so I did a page on red violet. I started out the page by just putting red and blue paint on the, actually right into the journal and trying to mix that color up. It came a little bit blotchy. It probably would have been better if I had mixed the color on a palette, but sometimes I'm a little lazy and I don't do that. So it just led me to have to be creative in what I did next. The next thing I did is I pulled out some of the jelly prints that I've made. I do a lot of jelly printing. So there were some interesting looking papers, so I thought I'd do some die cuts out of them. And let's show you the page so you have an idea what I'm talking about. Okay, so there's the page. You can see how some areas it looks more blue violet than more red violet, but these die cuts are all cut out of the jelly printed paper. Some of the paper was deli paper, some of it was cardstock, so each die cut has a little different texture to it. The very cool thing about the dragonflies is the dragonflies have an embossing folder. So after you cut them out, you put them in the embossing folder, put it through a die cut machine, and it gives texture to it. I'll show you that again. And see, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, but you can see these lines and parts in the dragonfly. That comes from the embossing afterwards. After I added the dragonflies and then I added the world, I thought it needed a little bit of balance, so I added the moon by just cutting a circle the same size. As what I learned from the page, I learned just to keep going with the flow. Sometimes you get stuck, you don't know what you're going to do next, but something will come to you to try, and that's what I ended up doing with this piece. I really like the way it turned out. I like the balance between the moon and the world, which represents the earth, needless to say. And I like the texture that the dragonflies gave. So I may be doing some more textures things on some of the die cuts that I have, just because that's fun to do and I really like the impact. So I'll show it you one more time. In case you want a good look at it, you can stop it and look at the page. This is done in a Dye Illusions large journal, so it's quite a big page. The next page that I worked on was for the color red, and I went a totally different way with that. Normally we just kind of stick to that color or shades of that color. When I started doing red, I had a lot of papers that had red in them, but other colors as well. So I just decided I'd do a collage and just went with, as long as it had some red in it, I figured it was good enough, or a shade of red. So here's my collage page. As you can see, there's lots of different papers. Lots of different shades of red. Over on this spot right here, I had a lot of white. So I just wrote in there about the color red, what I felt about it, what it meant to me, occurrences of it in my life. I like using words because it gives you the topography of the way the writing is. It's almost a pattern in itself. And so I really like using words that way. I like to do that a little bit more. The other thing that I wanted to show you was this bird. Okay, this bird right here. This bird came about because I had some paper like this. It was a different one, and I was just cutting the red portion out of it. And then when I looked at the shape, I thought, that looks like a bird. So I cut a wing and a couple little feet and drew an eye and a beak, and then I had my bird. So that was really kind of fun. Kind of what I think I learned on this page was also, you know, just being open to the possibility and looking for shapes. Sometimes you get shapes and it will lead you to something else. And I find that that's a process of following your intuition and moving forward with it. So I really like the red page. I think I'm going to concentrate on more on trying to find shapes in my work as I'm working with it. And so that's red. The other thing that I've been working on this week is, I had it right behind me, and it has slipped into oblivion in my studio. I'm sorry about that. Here it is. It's a portrait. I like to paint faces, draw faces, etc. This is something I started way back in June, and then it got lost in my studio. I had done it at a retreat, or started it at least. And it's done on paper called red rosin paper. You see the color of it is kind of a pink, musky pink color. It's actually used, I don't know if it's used in roofing or something like that, some kind of construction work. You'll find it at Home Depot, Lowe's, any kind of hardware store. It comes in these big rolls, and it's wonderful to paint on. Okay, so this is a work in progress, and here's my blue lady. Okay, I keep been working on changing her neckline and playing with the face and the background. So she has a lot more work to actually be done with her. But I do like showing work in progress because it's fun to see the process you go through in creating a piece of art. It just doesn't come out, you know, like in one session in 5 minutes and you're done. That's not the way art works for me. Sometimes I will work on it for months. Sometimes I will just work on it for several days. But it's kind of neat to see for me, it's neat to see the process of other artists. So I'll be sharing those kinds of things with you as well. That's all I have to share this week. I would love if this has inspired you to get out into your studio, that you share what you've been working on. I'm using the hashtag in the studio with Kate. So if you want to post on Instagram or Facebook or any other place, that's great. And then I'll get an opportunity to actually see what you've been doing. If you've liked the video, I would love it if you'd subscribe and share the video with, you know, your other art friends. And come back next week, and I will have another video and more things to share. We'll see you then.